So I thought maybe we could start off with introductions. So I can start. My name is Sala. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a sophomore at Annalee, and I am the action lead of Sunrise Annalee High School since we founded in April. And I'm also a junior commissioner on the Junior Commission on the Status of Women in Sonoma County.
So my name is Rachel. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm also a sophomore at Annalee High School, and I'm the training lead for our hub, and I've been here since we started our hub during the pandemic.
My name's Amy. I'm her twin sister, and I'm also a sophomore at Annalee High School. I use she, her pronouns, and also they, them pronouns. And I'm the hub coordinator of our hub, and I've also been here since we founded it. And like Sala, I'm also a junior commissioner on the Junior Commission on the Status of Women. Okay.
And I guess I'll introduce myself. I'm Vaughn, Vaughn Higginbotham, running for Sebastopol City Council, and I'm a volunteer firefighter, and I work at Sebastopol Tow.
All right. So to start off, we thought we'd kind of go through an overview of our goals for this meeting and also talk about a little bit about like what the Sunrise Movement is. So basically, the Sunrise Movement is a national youth-led movement working to combat climate change and social injustice and create millions of good jobs in the process. We're aligned with the Movement for Black Lives and also organize around passing the Green New Deal.
So in this meeting, we'd like to get to know you a little better, as well as your vision at a local and national level. So what about you? Do you have any goals for this meeting?
Not really. Just for everyone to get to know me better. That's the only real goal I have.
Awesome. All right. So could you give us a brief introduction? Well, you already introduced yourself, but like on your platform that you're running on.
Sure. I'm pretty much trying to run on the same platform as last time. I just want to really find more innovative ways to increase the city revenue, attract locally owned business, try, is a big word, to ease traffic and parking issues, while boosting town pride. I think that we need to be proud of the town we live in, and make it the best town we can.
Awesome, yeah. And what motivated, well, you kind of got into that a little bit, but what motivated you to run for city council?
I feel like the city council needs to be a little bit more diverse, as in age-wise, because everyone that's running again, I'm not too sure. I believe their name is I can't really speak to that, but from all the city council members that I know of that are incumbents are older.
Yeah.
And I believe that we need to incorporate more youth into the city council agenda, as well as, if I continue living here in town, I'm eventually going to be older, and we just need more youth involved in the city.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What would your priorities be if you got elected?
Ooh. Well, I see that the city council now, or the city in general, is making initiatives towards improving the roads. But I believe that the city needs more. I mean, city needs a lot of things, but what is important to me is housing and the local economy.
Yeah.
We need more low income housing for families who live in the area or who want to live in the area, but they can't afford a $500,000 house.
Yeah, that's definitely a really big thing, especially around here. So you brought up that you are a volunteer firefighter. Could you tell
Correct.
us a little bit about that?
Well, I don't volunteer in Sebastopol yet, but I do currently volunteer in the town of Bodega. And when I want to say it was in the 5th or 6th grade, I was in special ed, and our teacher said, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? And on the piece of paper, I wrote firefighter. Well, that teacher told me I could never become a firefighter because I had a learning disability. And, well, I went ahead and proved her wrong. And I've been enjoying it ever since. I joined when I was 18, and every once in a while you'll see something kind of gnarly that'll get to you, but overall you're actually helping people, and that's what I really enjoy, is helping people.
Yeah, we really appreciate the hard work you're doing. And that's really admirable. Thank you for sharing that with us. So what experiences do you think have prepared you for a role on the city council?
Wouldn't necessarily say any one experience, but just overall, starting my own business, living in town for well over 23 years, 24 years. I grew up here, so seeing the city change, and just being local, I believe, helps. And I think that that's what I bring forward, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So how are you advertising your candidacy? Oh, all right. They disappeared.
Oh, okay. I guess we'll continue. Or do you want to wait?
No, it's okay. We can keep going.
Right now I'm advertising. I try to advertise on Facebook, but they told me that they couldn't verify anything of me, as in license, and that I'm actually real. So then they wanted me to go to a public notary and have them notarize my documents, and I just kind of put that on the side. But right now, it's mainly just word of mouth and yard signs.
Yeah.
I know when I ran 2 years ago, I ran Facebook ads, I did mailers, I did word of mouth, I did massive amounts of yard signs. I went door to door. And this year, with just everything that's going on, my time is stretched very thin, and I can't really go door to door, or a lot of people probably don't want me to go door to door with the whole corona. And like I said, Facebook, they can verify me, and the yard signs, no one has really asked for them, so I really haven't been going around and giving them out.
Yeah, I can imagine it's tough to do anything right now. It's a challenging time.
Absolutely.
So as the youngest candidate running, what new perspectives do you think you can bring to the race?
I would say more along the lines of issues that are I don't know. I feel like I would be more approachable, we'll say, by the younger population, as in being young like them. Because I know when I was in high school, I wanted to speak at the city council meetings, but I didn't really feel that I would be heard because everyone was older and they came with their own essentially biasism. Biasism? Is that it? I don't even know if that's a real word.
Yeah, something like that.
As in being older, and that I'm just some young person that I don't know what I'm talking about. So I never took that step forward as going to the city council meetings and talking, but I did follow via internet or the recordings. And I feel that back to your question, that I would be more approachable.
Yeah, I definitely can empathize with the whole like people don't really take you seriously, all that. I agree. Welcome back, Rachel. We were just finishing the general questions. I don't know, should I just hop in with some of the climate ones, or should we wait a second for Amy?
She should be on soon, I think.
Oh, she appeared. Awesome. Welcome back, Amy.
Where are we?
Oh, hi. Okay. We just finished the general questions.
Okay, perfect. So now we're gonna move on to more like climate related questions. So the first question is, would you be willing to sign the No Fossil Fuel Money Pledge? And it's basically just a pledge saying that you won't like accept large contributions of money from like fossil fuel lobbyists, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Great, I'm glad to hear that. So, there you can go. Okay. So we have one more question about a different pledge. So would you be willing to sign the Green New Deal pledge? And that's basically a pledge saying that if you got elected, you would use your elected office to like push for all the principles of a Green New Deal on a local level.
I'm not too familiar with the Green New Deal, and I would need to look into it more before committing to actually signing something or committing to signing something. But overall, I believe that the Green New Deal is good. So I would be open to the possibility of doing that if elected.
Okay, and I totally understand the thing about needing more information. We can send up a follow-up email with some more information on that. That helps. So the next thing, what would be your plan to increase Sebastopol's fire preparedness and resiliency?
Can you repeat that question?
What would your plan be to increase Sebastopol's fire preparedness and resiliency?
Got it. I would definitely want to see the city's budget increased. Or let's see. I want have more money allocated to the fire department, because can't necessarily increase the city's budget if you have a limited amount of money to operate with. But if you took, and I know that the whole budget is very tight, and right now, I believe that this fire department only gets roughly, I think it's 12%, might be 11%, somewhere in there, which is significantly less than the police department. So I would like to see more fire personnel or on staff, as in, I mean, what is it? Oh, the budget, according to this that I'm looking, yeah, it's $1,200,000 is the fire department's budget for 2019. Say that they have 24 volunteers, and I know at least within Bodega, out there's 16 volunteers, but at any time you might have anywhere from 1 person to 5 people that can respond. So I would like to see a paid staff, at least 3 firefighters on, maybe a captain, or 2 firefighters and a captain, just so that we can get out there faster, and also to have more of a defensive outlook, as in identify certain trees in the area that are highly flammable and also that are potentially dead or dying, so that way they can go in there and get the trees, or not only trees but any plant for that matter, get that out of there, so that way they don't just dry up and then potentially be fuel in the future.
Great. So the next question, we are aware that like the city council doesn't have a ton of control over the school board, but what would you do to create green and more inclusive schools in Sebastopol in terms of like infrastructure, materials, practices, and curriculum?
Ooh. I would like to see more green energy sources from, I mean, and I understand Anley, they did put in the solar panels above the parking lot, which I think is awesome. But also it would be cool to see them use more alternative ways of heating water. And I understand that not a whole lot of hot water is used at the school, but if there could be a way of using, I know a lot of swimming pools, they're heated via solar panels. The water's pumped into the solar panels and then is heated and then put back into the pool. So I'd like to see that done to heat water at more schools, not only Anley, but Parkside and Brookhaven, and also I know I want to say Pinecrest, but I know Pinecrest, it's what, is it Sunridge now? Or no, it's the old Pinecrest, we'll just call it. And also more, let's say recycled paper, but not only having it recycled, put in the recycling bin, then it goes to Recology, and then they ship it over to China or wherever. It gets recycled over there and then shipped back. That's a lot of middle people, and especially fossil fuels, getting it on the boat, getting it over to China, then back here. It'd be nice to see more local paper being processed, but I understand that to get rid of all the inks in the paper and just overall environmental regulations in the United States, a lot of people won't do that. So that, you know, you could ship it over to China and there's really no regulation over there for what they can use to recycle stuff. But going back to more recycling, and there's not really too much new construction at the schools, as in building portables or other things that I know of. I'd say just maintain the current buildings that they have, and if there's lead pipes in there or something, just get rid of those. Really old copper that could be leaching out nasty stuff. Get those out of there.
All right. So the last question would be, how do you see a COVID recovery plan intersecting with the principles of a Green New Deal and specifically like a just transition?
I have no idea. I wish I could answer that question directly, but I just would need to do more research, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty hard question.
Yes, I appreciate the hard question. It's just I can't give an answer that I feel good about, so I'm just not really going to answer it, because I know most people would try to skate their way around the questions, and I want to be more direct at answering the questions.
We appreciate that too, though. Honesty and knowing kind of where you are and all that. So you told us that affordable housing is really important to you. What ideas do you have to create more affordable housing in Sebastopol?
I would like to see the city actually have their own housing project. So whether that could be the city puts up the money or down payment first to then potentially build condos and sell those off, or have it be where the city owns and maintains a few apartment complexes. And I don't mind having an outside developer come in and develop an apartment complex, but I believe that there needs to be some more regulation on how much people can actually charge for a building or for a room. Because I know a few years ago, my mom and we lived in an apartment, and she was paying well over $800 a month. And, you know, that might not sound like a lot, but when you're only making about 1,000, 1,200, 900 of that's going to rent, then you gotta pay, some people have car payments, car insurance, Netflix, television, cell phone, home phone. Not a lot of people have home phones, but it adds up. And then I know at that time my mom was making too much money to qualify for food stamps, but not enough money to pay for her own and my food. So without, getting too far down the rabbit hole on that one, going back to having more low-income housing and actually have it be low-income housing, not, oh yeah, your rent's $1,200 this month, and that's low income. I believe, what is it? A couple years ago, someone did a study that says you need to make at least $19 take home in Sonoma County to be able to survive and thrive. So if we could, if this local businesses aren't willing to up their minimum wage, then the city needs to step in and get strict about this price gouging on rent and create more low-income housing. And also, I would like to see them make it easier to have ADUs, or accessory dwelling units. Because my grandmother, she's trying to get one at our house, and the developer said he wants at least $500,000 for building and plans, and that includes all the permits from the city. But why can't they just say if it's under 1,200 square feet, you don't need a building permit, this and that, as long as it doesn't fall down, cool. Tiny homes, I like to see, like green tiny homes. I would like to see them roll out a bunch of those in this town. We got the vacant land downtown across the street from the square that the hotel's supposed to go in. Why can't that be low-income housing? Why can't we have a little tiny home village? Certain things, and I understand that all of that's bigger than just what one person can do, but as a council and as someone who could potentially change and shape the structure of this town, it'd be nice to see certain things like that actually take place and be thought about more. Not just, a couple of years ago I thought about that idea, but I got better things to do, like take money from Rick Scrabble or whatever. Try to be that polished politician that everyone likes, and not everyone's gonna like having low-income housing in this town, but kind of the reality we're living in. Okay, I know I kind of went deep on that one,
No,
but I hope I answered the question.
That was a very well developed, well thought out answer, and thank you for sharing all of that with us. So the Sebastopol Inn project, yeah. What are your views? No, I can't talk. I'm sorry. What are your views on that?
I like the idea of having more business in town, but I believe with hold on, the Sebastopol Inn project. Okay, I got it. I was thinking about the new hotel. I like that idea. I really haven't researched a lot into it or even thought about it, but there definitely needs to be that help to people. Because I know my dad, he was homeless for over 20 years, and no one really gave him any help. My mom and I, we tried to help him, but he never really wanted to help himself. And then I think it's a saying, those who those who, it's something along where it's like those who don't want to help themselves don't really want, or something, don't really, I know I'm not quoting it right, but the people who do want to improve themselves and get back on their feet and actually be productive in society, they need that help. And if the city can help provide that, then I don't see any problem with it.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, nice to hear.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. And I appreciate your honesty and your personal experiences, because that's very valuable. So you've brought up affordable housing and building on the local economy as priorities. And you seem to be very concerned with green environmental practices, which is huge and very important. So in the light of the movements going on right now, I want to bring up some social justice related issues. So for starters, do you support defunding or divesting from the police? And if so, how would you make it happen in Sebastopol, especially taking the stacked budget into account?
You know, when they first started talking about defunding the police, the first thing that came to my mind was, well, when I need help and I call 911, who's going to show up? And then when I looked into more of it, you know, it's not so much militarizing the police as it is saying, hey, we need more social help for these people, you know, mental help, drug addiction help. And will that actually be taken from the police and put onto more of a social worker? I don't know if that's actually, will that actually work? Don't know. But I think at least on a local level, the city of Sebastopol should start more of a social help program. I would say more in conjunction with the fire department, because they're actually there to help people. I'm not saying that the police aren't there to help people, it's just the police have a bad reputation for not helping people. And, you know, along the lines of, you know, oh, we'll give them a warm place to stay for the night, aka jail, and then they're gonna get the treatment that they need in jail. That is more of a, as I see, it's not a police issue, but it's more of a overall justice system issue. Not like the boots on the ground. It's not their issue. It's more of the system. And I mean, the system in itself is broken. I know I'm not the first to admit that, but do I support defunding the police? Say no, but reallocating budget, yes. And I know that's pretty much, I know that's pretty much the same thing. But yeah.
Yeah, no, a lot of people don't like associating with those terms. They're very definitive. So yeah, a lot of people want a sort of mix and kind of trying to figure out what works specifically for our community in your area and not just the general. So I understand. So what is your position on ICE, and how will you support undocumented residents in terms of them being disproportionately affected by the climate crisis?
Not too sure I understand, but on the lines of immigration, one of my really good friends growing up, we went to Brookhaven together. On very close to his 18th birthday, his mother told him, "You're illegal. I brought you over here when you were 2 years old." And it was a couple of weeks before his 18th birthday. We threw a party for him at his house, kind of like a going away party, because his mom didn't want him to be seen as an illegal. So they made the decision for him to go back to Mexico. And then I believe it was the year after that, the Dream Act, or the Dreamers Act, that was written in, and it's like, oh man. And his whole family, they weren't bad people. They were just trying to make a better life for themselves. And those who do come over, and I know I'm getting more onto like a national level, but I think that if you come across the border, it should just be the border should be pretty much open. And those who come over, yeah, you have to say, "This is who I am," birth certificate, ID, whatever, passport. They do a quick background check on you, make sure you're not wanted or anything. And if you're good to come over, come on over. I mean, in this country, essentially, we're all immigrants, or unless your family is native, which most families now are not strictly just native. Come on, we came across from England, and then so we showed up here and was like, "Hey, look, we're gonna call this America." So should it be? There needs to be more leniency, but how it affects how the climate and all that aspect, I don't know how those two merge together. As in, do you mean like it's getting hotter in places around the world and people are trying to migrate into different places, like along those lines? I don't understand.
Yeah, so social justice and the climate crisis, they're very interconnected because the communities that are experiencing the most effects from the climate crisis are frontline communities like immigrants. So that question's just kind of talking about like how you would protect and support them in our community with like the fires and just in general, like the effects of the climate crisis. I understand how it's a question that you need to think on for a while, so
Yeah, I really haven't looked into any of that, and I don't want to make something up and just have it be false, not actually thought about. So I don't know.
That's okay. Yeah, so I'd encourage you to think on this a little bit. And it was definitely a new concept for me. And then I joined the Sunrise Movement and learned all this stuff. And it's really super interesting how social justice and the climate crisis are connected. So I encourage learning more about that. And that also has to do with the Green New Deal and supporting frontline communities.
Okay. I will definitely take a look at that.
So I have one more question for you. So how have you personally supported the movement for Black lives? And how do you take initiative in supporting Black, Indigenous, and people of color in the future?
So on my dad's side, they're primarily African American, and I believe I'm 11 or 12% African American, and at least from my personal experience, we haven't experienced any police, let's just say, violence. It's mainly been like I've had a few cousins murdered by other African Americans. So that inner city violence I see as more of an issue that not a lot of people are addressing. I had one of my cousins gunned down in San Francisco. He was just doing his job, cleaning graffiti, worked for the city of San Francisco, and just shot. For what? I don't know. But I haven't really looked into the Black Lives Matter movement too much. But I do believe that there needs to be more along the lines of the justice system, more actually due process, because it seems like, I know the law says they're innocent until proven guilty, but it seems like, at least now, and it's been since way before my time, that it's guilty until proven innocent. Yeah. I want to make sure I'm saying it the right way. And it's, there have been too many African American people thrown into jail for a murder, drug crime, or whatever it may be, before they actually had all the facts and evidence. And I believe that they're just based on the color of someone's skin. A lot of the justice system makes that determination that they are guilty when they're not. But have I? Yeah, that's have I seen any anything personally? Yeah, just based on my dad's name, because my dad and I, we share similar names, same first and last name, different middle names, and he has or had, I should say, a criminal record. And then one time the police, they looked up his name instead of my name and automatically assumed that I was guilty for driving based on looking up someone else's name. Similar name, but a lot of the times we need to figure out if we're actually dealing with Vaughn Higginbotham or Vaughn Aaron Higginbotham, which is my dad, or Vaughn Richard Higginbotham. And, I know not every, my name isn't common, but let's say Michael Smith, just as hypothetical. You look up Michael Smith in the police records and you might come up with 100 people with, at least 100 people in Sonoma County that could potentially be Michael Smith. And some of them might be bad, some of them might be good, but you actually have to know who you're dealing with before you presume that they are guilty. Just, yeah. So, I don't know if I actually answered the question directly, but I hope I did. And if you don't think so, then let me know.
And I understand what you're emphasizing about addressing systemic racism in not just our community, but our country. That's very good.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that all with us. So how do you, oh my gosh, words. How will you involve and include youth voices in the local government, particularly a diverse group of youth voices, LGBTQ, people of color, people with different ability, etc.
Because, well, I would like to see more of a online presence from the city council, because they say in some of their council meetings, oh, we asked the community, we sent out the survey. I've asked my grandmother, aunts, uncles who live here in town, my mom, have you seen this survey or heard of it? Most of them are like, what are you talking about? What survey? So I'd like to see a more proactive approach to getting to the homes of people, whether that may be a mass email, a mass, like a poll on Facebook or a poll on Instagram, or just a way that people, I think between those, you'll pretty much get every house in Sebastopol, or even a phone call. It could be like, call this number, sign up, and we'll give you an automated phone call that says, the city council is looking at this issue. Do you agree or disagree? So that way we can actually get more of a, not only a city actual view on it or on the issue, but you don't have to just show up at a city council meeting and express your opinion there, or email or write in, or whatever method you use to get the message to them. It's more, it's actually there. They're not asking their little group of 30 people who are all, eat at K&L and in the middle of the night. And nothing bad about K&L, but I know I can't really afford to eat there once a week like some of the council members can. Just, we need to actually get out there and talk to people, see what people want, see what people need. And I have some friends who are LGBT. They're actually, I have good friends who are gay, lesbian, and a lot of them don't feel like they need, or not need to, but they feel like if they speak out, a lot of people are going to judge them. And whether that's true or not, everyone needs to feel included. Um, and I know that Sebastopol is very progressive compared to other cities in the country, but it just needs to talk to people. I'd say more just, hey, this is, instead of yeah, I know I'm kind of going in circles here. Just ask the people what they actually want to see changed in more of, it could even be a Google poll. I don't, whatever it is. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. What accomplishments are you most proud of?
Like personally or as a city?
Kind of in general, but I guess more on the city side, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like the city of Sebastopol. I like their Airbnb, I think it was moratorium, to limit the amount of Airbnbs in the city. But at the same time, I don't like that specific one because I believe everyone should have the right to create their own business, whether that's renting out their extra bedroom or creating an iPhone repair shop. Should not limit people's entrepreneurial abilities. But overall, I just don't like a lot of what they do. The incumbents. And I think that we just need some change in this town. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And personally, do you have any no, I forget the word. Oh my goodness. Accomplishments that you're really proud of?
I personally, I like that I became a firefighter despite people, not people in general, but specifically the teacher, her saying you'll never become a firefighter. I'm proud that I actually took that negative energy and turned it into something positive. That's probably, yeah, that's probably creating my own business. I'm proud of that as well. Is it successful? No, but I did it. It was kind of a hard process at the beginning, but once I got through it all, it was like, hey, I did it. And I know that there's a lot of other accomplishments that I'm proud of, but those are probably the biggest ones.
Yeah. And then kind of wrapping up, what is your overall vision for Sebastopol?
I don't have a specific vision of which way the city's gonna go, whether it's gonna keep growing, or will it stay small. I mean, Sebastopol started out with just pretty much Main Street and a few other houses around. So has it grown? Absolutely. Will it keep growing? Absolutely. Or if not the city itself, but the surrounding area will grow. I like the idea of keeping Sebastopol small. I mean, we don't want to become, at least in the next 50 years, like Santa Rosa or San Francisco. But just improving the structure of the city and including more of the actual residents' voices. Because I know 2 years ago, no, was it 2 years ago? Yeah, let's say it's just 2 years ago in general. When they did the bike path, the bike lane thing, a lot of people in Sebastopol were like, hey, what is this? Because I don't know, when was that? Was that 8 years before that they approved it? Yeah, I would say so. About 8 years, they approved the bike path idea and at a meeting, and when it came around to painting the lines, they just kind of threw it in there like, hey, we approved it 8 years ago, it's gonna be good now. I think if they just talked to people and said, hey, we're thinking about implementing this idea that we approved years ago now, do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Let's get more of the community's input instead of just kind of doing things that were already, and I understand legally they did everything the right way, but on a person-to-person level, it would have been nice if they asked. And I think just, I could see the future of Sebastopol being more inclusive into things like that. More open about what the city council is actually doing. Just kind of put it in a format that people can digest easily. Because I know sitting at a city council meeting or watching it on Zoom or watching the tapes, it's a lot to take in. And if there was a way to communicate to the average person, this is what we're thinking, do you agree, do you disagree? I see that as being more of a future of the city council moving. But then the vision that I have for Sebastopol is to have more local business, and just to keep primarily the downtown corridor local shops. And personally, I would like to see a store in town that just is general stuff. I can go in there and buy socks. Nothing fancy. Just some plain white socks. I understand that probably Rite Aid, I could probably do that. But then again, they're a big business. A local shop that would just sell normal socks, sure. And it's not only socks, just general stuff in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think, if you were elected, what do you think would be the first thing you'd try and do?
Not panic. That would be my first reaction, is to not panic. But the first, like, as a city council member, the first thing that I would like to do is I would like to communicate with the people more. That's communication is key.
All right, so that was all of our questions. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us, and it was really great to talk to you. I thought it was really inspiring that a young person and somebody who graduated from our same high school is running for city council. Is there anything else in particular that you'd like to share with us?
I mean, I could probably talk for a couple more hours about what I think the city should do. But I think I've generally covered everything that I want to talk about right now.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. And we'll stay in contact.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I appreciate all of you taking the time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have a nice day.
You too.
You.
Bye.